Hello, today I'm here to introduce you to the entry-level ScanNCut machine from Brother, the CM300. Included in your box, you will get your lovely new shiny machine, which is fabulous. You also get a standard blade in the blade housing and a little cover to keep that blade protected when you're not using it. You also get your spatula for putting the card on the mat and taking it off, and also a stylus for your full colour touchscreen technology. You also then get one of these mats, which is the mid-tack mat. So this is in between the low tack and the standard mat and is denoted by the pink band across the bottom. So let's talk you around the machine. First things first, let's open the front of the machine and let's take the cover off our standard blade housing and set our blade to between 4.5 and 5. That just pops into the housing there and the green lever just presses down. The next thing we're going to do is lift this screen up. It will come up at 3 different levels, so depending on where you sit or what the light is like in your craft room, you can position that accordingly. You'll see there's 5 buttons on here. So the first one is the power to switch it on, which is exactly what we're going to do now. I'm then going to use a stylus to touch the home button here, and that will then give you an instruction to press OK, and it will put the blade housing in the correct position. We then have 2 options. So we have our patterns and our scan. The first option here has the 6 different categories that we're used to, including basic shapes. This is 10 pages of basic shapes. You've then got your icons, so you've got nature, you've got food, you've got animals, zodiac signs, school, fashion, travel, sport, seasonal, and then other extras like frames, flourishes, etc. So we use a back arrow to go back from there. You've then got your sentiments, so this is page 1 of 13. So you've all these different sentiments, all in alphabetical order so they're easily accessible. We've then got borders, so you then have 10 pages of these borders that we can go through like this. So you've got 30 different borders in this machine. Back arrow again. You have 5 full fonts, and by a full font I mean you have uppercase, lowercase, numbers and punctuation, so a great variety there as well. So that's your 5 fonts, and then we have 100 quilt blocks in here. So these have been done for quilters because of course the ScanNCut will cut fabric. You may need the deep cut blade as an extra for that, and each one of these can be broken down into separate increments, so you can see you can set the size that you want the block to be at the end. Press OK, it breaks it down into all the different sections. It highlights the sections and whereabouts they are in that block. And if you need more than one, for example with this one, when you set this on the mat, it will tell you that you need 4 and it will automatically put those on the mat for you. So to come out of that, we're just going to press home again. It says, am I okay to delete the patterns? You press OK and you're back to the beginning. Just to talk a little bit about this button, this is your settings button, so we can press that. You can change the language that the instructions are given to you in if that's what you want to do. You also can change the increment of measurement, so you can change it from millimetres to inches, whether you're old school or new school. It will then allow you to set the cut area, so you can use a smaller piece of card than a 12 by 12, and you can set that so that when you put your mat in, it just works within that area. You can make the background on your scanner either lighter or darker, so depending on what contrast you want on there. We're going to go down to page 2 now. So your cut speed, personally, I always have my speed on full and it's never failed me yet, but do what you feel is comfortable. What I find is the quicker the speed, the better the cut. It's never ever failed me, so I'm going to continue doing that. Cut pressure. Now this is interesting. This is quite different to other brands of machines that are out there in the market. The pressure on this, you don't need a lot. That's the force behind the blade. And what we want to think about when we're looking at our pressure settings is the makeup of the property that you're trying to cut. So if it's something that's quite thin but quite dense, like Doflex or acetate or mylar, then you want to increase your pressure. If it's something very light, like a cardstock, you need to keep your pressure nice and low. And you'll learn that as you go through your machine. It's trial and error, and you pick it up pretty quickly. The next one is the draw speed. Again, it doesn't really matter what that's on. If you're using your pen on something that isn't going to dry instantly, you might want to take your speed down a little bit. because then when the rollers move the mat in and out, it's not going to smudge the ink. So it's important that you think about that. And your draw pressure is really easy. The lower the number, the thinner the line. The higher the number, the thicker the line. It's as simple as that. We'll then go on to page 3. So we've got auto shutdown. If you can choose between 1, 2, 3 or 4 hours. So if you're busy working away and you go off and get distracted, the machine will shut itself down after however long you've set it on here. Also, if you're in the middle of working on a project and it shuts down, when you come back to switch the machine on, it will ask you if you want to retrieve that design, so it doesn't just delete it off. Your next one is your buzzer. So when you hear me touch the screen, you'll hear a little click. That's the buzzer. You can turn that off if it annoys you. Seam allowance. Now, because of course Brother do a lot of embroidery machines and sewing machines, they were aware that they wanted quilters to be able to use this machine because it does cut fabric really well. So they've put an option of seam allowance in here, either 3mm, 5, 7 or 10, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 5/8 of an inch, and then back to your 3mm. That can also be a shadow if you want to use it for your paper crafting. So please don't think that's just for quilters or vice versa. Your pattern interval here is the distance between the shapes, because you can fill the mats with different shapes on this screen. And the reason you can do that is because of this, because you've got full colour touchscreen technology. So you can move the shapes anywhere that you want on that screen and position them on the mat. So we're now going to go into page 4. This is your opening screen. You can either have the Brother logo on or off. And then the next screen is important. So this is your serial number that is unique to your machine. Nobody else will have that serial number. And this tells you the version that we're working on at the moment on this particular model. So that's your settings done. So you just press OK to come out of that. And now I think we're ready to make the cut.